So, if you haven't heard, there's a more libertarian candidate named Craig R. Brittain. I think that's how you pronounce it, Brittain. I'll just Brittain. Okay, I'll never do that again. I'll just call him Craig R. Brittain, or just Craig for the rest of this. Who's running for Senate in Arizona. And around the front page, Brittain for Senate. That's a funny phrase. It says, taxation is theft. Jobs, prosperity, liberty. That's a full sentence according to this guy, by the way. Donate and help Craig become a U.S. Senator from Arizona. And it says his four main values are immediate care for veterans, peace and security for citizens. That's two things. That's two things, Craig. One box contains two things. No more waiting for the VA for care. Craig's platform includes a bill that will give veterans immediate access to private health care. Oh, why, Craig, you should know we already had that. It's called Veterans Choice. And not only does it cost, I believe, an extra $10 million in government subsidies to implement, if not $10 billion. But it turned out even worse for veterans than the VA did. Craig will work directly with President Trump, Vice President Pence, and others to make sure no veteran is left behind. Craig also strongly believes in the U.S. military as a defense force and not the world police. We will bring the troops home and stop fighting endless wars. Okay, I agree with that. He will also author a bill allowing citizens to defend their borders according to Trump's Build the Wall plan. Okay, so I agree with borders. I agree we shouldn't have needless wars. That's actually a thing that's been overflooding the VA, by the way. It's only had about a 9% increase in employees while we've had a 30% increase in veterans. And I disagree with his attitude towards private insurance, but, if he wants people to choose, if he wants people to have the option, I guess that's fine. I like the next one. Ending taxation of the Federal Reserve, protecting speech. Again, that's two different things. Well, technically three different things. Libertarians can't count is what I'm getting at. Craig will work to repeal the 16th Amendment and the Federal Reserve Act. He will also push for a revolutionary but economically sound balanced budget via a debt break. A balanced budget, you say? Well, it's interesting because I believe it was CNN asked actual economists about Bernie Sanders' plan. He said he'd balance the budget. Whoops. The federal government, like the citizens it governs, cannot be allowed to spend money that it does not have and pass the buck to the working and middle class who already stretch thin. Craig believes the First Amendment protects all speech without limits. He will repeal many unconstitutional regulations on speech. Okay. I agree with a balanced budget. However, I want to make it clear, I think that if you want to balance the budget via just no government spending, you're kind of, I don't know. I think that if we do need to get a deficit, it should be for a short period of time and be paid back as soon as we can. 20 trillion is ridiculous, is what I'm getting at. However, if your solution to balancing the budget is cut all government programs, I think that's a little far. Because a taxless, welfareless society is something we simply do not have because it typically does not create a society, it creates warlords. Grandfathering government programs. Craig will author a constitutional amendment which allows individuals to opt out of any government program that they do not wish to participate in or give money to, including Medicare and Social Security, and guarantee full immediate I don't know why it took me a minute to figure that out. refunds to citizens who paid into government programs. Those who wish to remain in those programs will not be affected. Okay, here's my question, Craig. And what is stopping someone from, like me, from not paying into Medicare or Social Security, and then the second I become old enough, I say, no, okay, I want it now. I want it now. I mean, as of right now, we have just, you pay into it, you get it back. Unless we have a big database that says, no, this is how much you paid in, you get this much back, no matter what you got, etc., which, ironically enough, I think may be more Orwellian than just, you pay in, you get it back. I could address all the Social Security fear-mongering, which could be easily solved by simply raising the cap, because as of right now, you only pay Social Security after, for, I believe it's $115,000 you make, in a bottom-line paycheck. If you raise that cap to, or you don't have a cap, it pays for itself, like, really easily. Oh, that, and you don't take money from it and use it to fund a war in Vietnam. Just saying. And the last one is decriminalization of non-crimes. Gun ownership is an inalienable right. Craig will extend the Second Amendment via a bill which nullifies gun-free zones, allows national open carry, and removes any regulation regarding firearms, as well as any prohibition from firearm ownership. Now, I am typically against gun control. I made it clear that with the exception of probation and parole, I do not support really any sort of form of gun control. I have a question about gun-free zones. Like, am I still allowed to say I don't want any guns on my house, or would that nullify that? I'm just making sure. Craig will also fully decriminalize marijuana via a new constitutional amendment similar to the 21st Amendment, which ended prohibition, and move to treat drug addicts as a medical issue rather than a crime, ending the costly drug war and saving countless crimes. Okay. I feel kind of mixed on this guy, as I do most libertarians, in the sense of I don't completely disagree with him. I agree with him on most foreign issues and on most social issues. I just don't know if I'm fully on board with him on, you know, actual economic issues. I feel like we differ on those. Of course, I didn't stop there, being the curious guy I am, and I decided to do a Google for Craig R. Brittain, I think. Still not entirely sure how to pronounce his last name. The first thing you should know about Craig is there's no Wikipedia article in his name. There is, however, an Encyclopedia Dramatica. Now, if you do not know what Encyclopedia Dramatica is, it's a rumor website that was, I forget if it was started by 4chan. I know it has some involvement with 4chan, though. I don't entirely trust it, mind you. However, I just think that's a little interesting, because it normally doesn't show up on your first page unless you're someone special. Now, don't get me wrong, Craig Brittain does have a presence on Wikipedia, and that's he has a page for a website he owned called Is Anybody Down? Is Anybody Down was a controversial revenge porn website founded by Craig Brittain and Chance Trahan, where users could anonymously upload nude photographs along with information identifying the person in the photographs, including full name, address, phone number, and Facebook screenshot. Keep it classy, Craig. The site also contained a section of nude photographs titled Anonymous Bounty, where users were offered free stuff It's in quotations because, as libertarians have told me, nothing is free. If they could provide the Facebook or Twitter information of any of the people pictured, in concept, the website recapitulated a now defunct Is Anyone Up, which was shut down in April 2012, shortly before an FBI investigation into the properties of the site. Oh, by the way, this website, it got investigated too. The activities of the website and the operators were investigated by the United States Federal Trade Commission, Don't Tread on Me, who stated that when people contacted the website, the site did not respond to their request to remove the information. The FTC stated in their administrative complaints that the site advertisers' content removal service under the name Takedown Hammer and Takedown Lawyer that could delete consumers' images and content from the site in exchange for payments to $200 to $500. The complaint says the sites for these services were owned and operated by Craig Brittain. Mark Redies, a prominent First Amendment lawyer, compiled evidence that the two sites are part of the same operation. He offered to take the case of anyone whose images were displayed on Is Anyone Down without permission. So that's what Craig means when he says unlimited. So to make it clear who Craig is, he is the man who operates a revenge porn. He used to operate a revenge porn website, and then coincidentally became a libertarian. You know, it's typically joked that libertarians want to commit crimes. Craig actually did! It's amazing! I don't know if revenge porn violates the non-aggression principle. That's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.